Let's pray together. Our dear Lord and Heavenly Father, we are so thankful that we can bring ourselves to you this evening and ask that you speak to us in a special way. May your name alone be glorified and uplifted. You created us, you made us, you lead us in life, you help us from moment to moment, Lord. You know how desperately we are dependent upon you to support us for every breath we take, for every word we speak. I pray, Lord, that your Spirit of God before my mouth, so that only your words will be spoken. And thank you so much that you are a loving, wonderful Creator. And may what we say be to the glory of your name and upliftment of your wonderful name, of how you teach us and guide us. I thank you for what you've done for me in and through my life, not of my own, Lord, but only because of your working. We can praise you and honor you for what you've done in each one of our lives, Lord. Each one of us has got a very special and specific testimony that no one else has got. Thank you for the beautiful testimonies we've heard so far, Lord. It was so inspiring, so uplifting. May you please continue to bless each one who brought their testimony and be with us as we continue to walk in life. May your word also come alive whenever we read it, whenever we study it. May we be more encouraged to learn from you. I thank you for this, Lord. Amen. Okay, thank you. What I also did last week, I didn't come prepared for anything, so I haven't got anything. And then I heard, no, but I looked on the program and I saw what my name is on there. I made so sure that I'm not on the program. So I literally only brought my Bible and material. I didn't bring any notes or anything. And then I heard I got a slot and I thought, well, I'm going to present something. Even though I'm not prepared for anything, so I'll just give a little short introduction, just drop a penny and then I'll start with my introduction because it's quite important. You've often seen on the board Adrian draw or Ruben or a long line, okay? I don't know why I'm laughing. And then there are events.
Yes,
Right, you haven't got it yet. Because I want to speak about this. Now it caused me to lose my place. Line upon line, precept upon precept, in Jeremiah.
Isaiah 28.
Isaiah 28. Thank you. Okay, then verse 10. Verse 10. I'm just going to give you a bit of a perspective on this. For precept must be upon precept, precept upon precept. Do you see a repetition? Line upon line, line upon line. Now, Ellen White tells us if there's a repetition, that is an exclamation mark of importance. And here is like a repetition and a repetition of a repetition, here a little and there a little. They're all linked together. Line upon line. I'll explain that shortly. I'm just trying to bring to you across an important concept that I have, okay? I'm not saying follow, believe it or whatever. But one of my sermons I've given would be, say, regarding hell. And then I take the flood and I speak about hell. And then I take Moses' experience. And I speak about the 7 great events in world history, including in the second coming, and Christ coming will of course be one of them and so forth. And I was sort of 7, I didn't have the line concept in mind, but what I had was a sequence of events, and every time our health related to that specific event. And then also the law, I would take the law. Very interesting. In each one of these 7 incidents, you can study the law, but each sermon will only be health, or only be the law, or only be an aspect. But along the line, I was happy to hear Pastor Adrian, for example, mention there's a sequence that is followed, and this is the key. If you have a sequence that is being followed, and you have another line, and there's a sequence, a corresponding sequence that is being followed, you have formed a pattern. Okay? You can understand, here's a pattern. This follows and that follows. By the way, the 3 angels' message is also a line. And I've heard it here also, which I'm very glad for, that it will be repeated. So then you could expect in our day not the very same thing to happen. History will repeat itself, but a similar event will happen. So again, you will have a typical first angel message, not exactly the same, but typical, and the second angel's message, and so forth. And I must cut myself short. I'm going to start expanding on this. We are also told, for example, the midnight cry. Okay, we've heard about that. Now, you can ask any Protestant, anybody, Adventist, yeah, the midnight cry, the oil, the 10 virgins, and, you know, the basic story. But what really happened with the pioneers at midnight cry? We need to understand that. Why do I say that? Ellen White says, amongst others, that the 10 virgins, that parable of the 10 virgins, will be repeated. She says it was repeated. It happened. It happened. And she says it will happen in the future. To the very, I'm not using good words, but she says it will be repeated to the very letter.
Do you have any idea what that is?
To the very letter? I didn't come prepared for anything, so I'm just what I remember.
To the very letter.
But to the very letter. It will be repeated as the midnight cry of the second one. So we must know that. Furthermore, there's another statement that I don't have with me, where she speaks about the 3rd angel's message. We all know we must give the message and so forth. But in fact, we aren't qualified to give it. Why not? What does she say? She says, if you give the 3rd angel's message and you have no experience in the 1st and 2nd angel message, you can be misguided and you will mislead others. You must have experience in the 1st and 2nd angel's message, which we as Adventists don't have. But how do I gain experience in the 1st and 2nd angel's message? By studying it, by going through the experience of the pioneers.
Amen.
If you study it thoroughly, you gain an experience in the 1st angel's message, and only then can you fulfill the commission God has given each one of us to take the 3rd angel's message to the world.
Amen.
Okay, I think I should end it here, otherwise I'm going to go too far. But line upon line is this, where you have Noah's history, and you have Moses, or the desert experience, which also relates to God's end time people, we are specifically told. And Jesus himself refers to Noah, and etc., etc. You must have a line upon line, and you make amazing discoveries. If you follow the sequence, of course, in our day, it won't be the prophetic times. But the 70-year captivity, for example, 70 means something. It's rather symbolism, not the application of the time, because there's no time no longer, no prophetic time. But what does 4 mean? What does 70 mean? We all know numbers have a meaning. And those meanings you can fit into our day and our prophecy. And that's one way White tells us how we know exactly where we are in the time of history, which we don't know because we haven't studied line upon line, precept upon precept. By the way, we said a repetition is important. It's even more important than just stated here, because listen to this, verse 13. We've read verse 10, here's verse 13. But the word of the Lord was unto them, precept upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, line upon line, here a little and there a little, that they might go and fall backwards and be broken and snared and taken. again, we even have a repetition of that verse. So not only is it repeated within the verse, another verse repeats what has been said before. So this is a major important aspect to take into consideration. The line upon line, you study the prophecies and your eyes go open, you'll discover things you never knew. And you know exactly where you are in the stream of time compared to the first angel, second, and what is coming next. Okay. So I won't explain that any further. Thank you very much for allowing me just to do that. Could I say to whet your appetite? Put your appetite maybe to go and study and see and so line upon line. It's really, really important. And I'm very happy for what I'm hearing here, because this is part of line upon line. I was excited when I heard Colin's presentation and Ruben. Great work, and of course, lots of it is based on what Adrian has said. Adrian knows this history very, very well. So you are very privileged and very fortunate, and I didn't know we were going to hear this. I was very excited when I heard this. Yeah, okay, let's stop there. Try and stop there. My testimony, and I've listened to the other testimonies, and I see you enjoy hearing a bit broad spectrum, more than just, oh, I came into the church and that's it. So life history, life story, but I cut that part short. You know, I wasn't like Shaquille. She says, oh, and Adrian, they're bad people. I was very good. You probably hate me for it, but sorry, I was just an extremely little good boy.
You forgot Craig and I.
I wouldn't even mention it. But don't speak to my mother, because she won't agree. She says, you were impossible and whatever else. But the reason I said, well, that part of the history I don't remember. That's pre going to school. Before I went to school, my mother doesn't have patience. She has no patience. She often had to just, she says, she just held onto the wash basin and you've got to let go, yeah, I'm going to murder him. Things like anything like, you must come and bath, and I don't want to bath, and I get onto my tricycle going through the house or whatever, and then she hears I'm very quiet, and she wonders what's going on, and then I'm with my clothes and everything on in the bath, in the water, and she doesn't know what to do. And the morning they wake up and I'm gone, I'm supposed to be in the house, but I'm not in the house. How does he get out? You know, what happened? How did he get away? And then later she discovered I go to the window and I just hang. I let go and I just drop down because I want to be out. And all these things I don't remember, maybe fortunately. Yeah, many things, like my father says he would hold me and it's raining and we get winter rain. That was down in the Cape, so you have the winter and it's cold, miserable winter and it's raining, wet and everything. And he's outside the door, then I'm happy. He puts one foot in the house and I start crying. And my mother had, you know, all these dirty clothes, wet clothes and muddy clothes and everything. And then she just said, well, just take all these clothes off. Yeah. So that's what happened. I was happy. I could be out in the rain, whatever I wanted to do in winter. And I also here, I only wore a bear shoe. Now, I don't know what to do, but I was explaining it's a little piece of skin that you have around here. And that's all I walked running around when I was small. I was happy, outdoor child. And then we had a boxer dog, and there's many stories about this, interesting events and so forth. In any case, and then I went through my schooling, and then I went to study. I'm not like others who can tell you, oh, I was an A student, I had dyslexia, or I still have it. So I battled at school. My life was miserable as a boy because you just have to study all day and almost all night. But I managed to pass every year miraculously. I even got a university pass during my final year at school, so I could go to university. At university, somehow managed to pass. Most students fail the course I was doing. God's grace is good or great. And I completed a course as winemaker. and I became a winemaker. And I also wanted to go overseas. I heard about Epcot Center, you know, you're young, technology, wow, man, that's everything. So I heard about Epcot Center, and I went to Epcot Center, and I went to California. I was a long time there. I first went to Europe for a month, and then to America, and to the Napa Valley. There's a wine region, and I was working there in the wine industry, and then I came. They asked me to come back to South Africa. And then I helped, not in the wine industry, I was actually helping my sister and my brother-in-law building up a business. But soon I went back into the wine industry. So I was a winemaker. God blessed me in the sense I was the the champion state winemaker for the largest wine producing area in South Africa. You got your trophies, you got many golden medals and whatever else. And you know, you work very hard, especially because of dyslexia, to try and achieve something and get somewhere. And now finally, you know, as in the wine industry, you start making a name, you start rolling up, you sacrifice everything, you start achieving something in life. I realized many weddings end up in divorce. And I didn't want to end up in a family like I felt I was in, where I had to study and learn all the time. Child is miserable, and I don't want to be miserable. So I want to remain single. So I made a decision, I'm never going to marry. I'm going to be single, because if you marry, most marriages, about half end up in divorce, and the half that doesn't end up, most of them are apparently not all that very happy. So I said, I'm not going to marry. And I had a very enjoyable life as a young man. I had good friends. I went out a lot. I had normally one good friend, and we'd always take out the girls. He'd invite someone, I'll invite someone, and you invite this one and that one. And, we just have a good time. I mean, they know, and I also tell them, listen, don't expect anything from me, not initially, but as you grow to know each other better, because some of the girls you build a good relationship, good friendship with, and you just tell them, by the way, you know, my idea is never to marry, you know, so maybe that's also why many of them invited me for whatever occasions, especially weddings. I was invited many weddings, often this wedding, that wedding. So, and we would dance and have a good time and whatever, and work parties and so forth. That may be there. So I had a very nice time with, and I enjoyed a group, not necessarily a large group, maybe only 4 of us, but I didn't particularly think, you know, I'm taking this girl somewhere. Invite my friend, and I take someone, he takes someone, we go together as a group and do things together and enjoy whatever. In any case, in this point of time of my life, I had worked in that area, but I was working in another area, and I came back to this area, Paul, close to Cape Town. And the girl I knew before I went overseas, I hadn't seen her for a long time, in that area said, we want to go out the evening, but you probably don't know anybody here now, so we can arrange a blind date. I don't know if you're familiar with blind date. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I can arrange a blind date, and someone who worked with her to be a partner for me. So we went as a group, and we went dancing and so forth, had a good time. And about 2 months after that, I didn't know this blind date very well, but we had met probably another twice after that, in 2 months' time, more or less. And she invited me to a series of lectures, because my mother had given me a book on Phosphor, is a place where they mine phosphate, and there are lots of saber-toothed tigers and all sorts of very interesting history in that area. There was apparently a forest and a big river flowing there. There's nothing today, it's quite dry. But in that area, they were mining all these skeletons of animals for the phosphate and so forth. And my mother gave me this book about the history of what it had to be like. This animal fed that one, there must have been a fire that time. I found it very interesting. So I was telling this friend of mine, lying date about this and so forth. So she got a leaflet in the newspaper that stated, you know, the monkey and then growing up to be a man. So there's lectures at the City Hall, and would I like to go? And I said, yes, thank you. And I'd forgotten that I spoke about, you know, this book and but in any case, that's apparently why she invited me to go with her to these lectures. So the two of us went to the lectures, and the man was lecturing on this, and very interesting scientific lectures. I'm a scientist by trade, so done chemistry and everything. So if anything came up, I could judge it from a logical point of view, you know, just logically follow what he's saying, and then from a scientific view, I could judge him and say, well, scientifically that is correct or not correct. But as the lectures was progressing, he was starting to use the Bible. And I thought, well, that's good, you know. We are Christians, we should use the Bible. That's not a bad thing. And I couldn't judge him on the Bible because my knowledge about the Bible wasn't very good. You know, I wasn't a Bible student at all. And then there was another smaller man with him there, and he was more focused on archaeology, Egypt, and all these sort of things. Yeah, it was held in the City Hall, and then they invited, they apparently belonged to a church, and they're inviting us to the church and to go to church on Saturday, and I've never heard of that in my life. I knew the Jews went to church on a Saturday, but I was then 30 years old. But Christians going to church on a Saturday, that is strange. But I've been listening to a lot of what he says, and I'm basically, in the end, I accepted everything, all the teachings in a white health message, very strong on the health message. But the Saturday didn't make any sense to me. Sunday is a right day. Everybody goes to church on Sunday. And in any case, you know, when you read the Bible, you read it with a slant or an angle. So I'm always reading all these Sunday slants, you know, because when you read it Saturday, Sunday, it must be Sunday, so you must understand it that way, not this way. So in any case, as the one lady said, we were quite a few that went to church. And you walk in and there's almost nobody, a few old people, and then us who were at the lectures. And she says, well, I thought, you know, these other people who are there, they're the congregation, and I'm sort of the stranger, and maybe one or two others. But we found out we are all strangers in the church now. And the four elderly people there, whoever was there, they're actually the church. And this pastor, Francois Duplessis, he would say, ask me, listen, won't you take the lesson study? What is that? No, okay, you must, you know, use a book and present the book. And by now, I'm already on that level where the man of God is not speaking with me. No, you may not say no. No, apparently my fellow new believers didn't see it that way. No, he's trying to turn our arm and everything, and I'm walking on holy ground here. So okay, I'll do the lesson study, and here the old people sitting, and there's a class, and I'm giving class, and this book, whatever it may be, Daniel or whatever, where is that in the Bible? No, where's Daniel? Whatever, searching for it. I'm giving lesson study, and there's old Adventists who even built the church with ox wagons. I don't know what they did. Like patiently listening to this man who doesn't even know the Bible. Given the lesson study. And then I can just mention something that was valuable to me, probably even now, was they said, listen, they asked me at the point, you know, you already know it's a small little church, now they're asking me, we want you to be elder, please. And I'd read in Ellen White already. That Satan says he goes to the elders and the pastors, you know, those are the ones he attacks. So, you know, I'm not just going to say yes to that. I don't want those attacks, thank you. So no, but now, you know, the servants of God speaking to me, I may not say no, although it was a member who was phoning me, one of the older ladies, and I politely I said, you know, preferably not, and ask that man, I think he'll be very good elder. So I managed to get out of that without declining, but, you know, letting know I don't want to be an elder. Yes, so that happened. And oh, by the way, this lady that invited me to the lectures, she also accepted the message, and we were later baptized. Um, and then, being a winemaker during the harvest season, you must work on a Sabbath. Um, I wasn't worried about the wine making as such, and that wasn't really a worry. The man who presented the scientific lectures and started using the Bible more and more, and then spoke about unclean in the Bible and clean and so forth, that was Professor Walter Fight. So I had the privilege of knowing him personally. On Sabbath days we eat together, and Sonika and Walter tell us how they make these healthy meals, and the pastor is just also very focused on health. Walter had just come into the church, so I had the privilege of God using someone who is, and Walter's meetings actually draw me because, on a scientific level, especially if you're worldly, I'd learned from a very secular point of view, that, success and happiness in life is you must just achieve in life. And then you've made it. So my whole life was just to achieve. And at that point, when I heard these messages, I've now achieved, I've arrived. I'm now got the medals, I've got the trophies, and the people are looking up at this very important winemaker, which I wasn't, but in any case. And parents, of course, proud of you, and this is Louis' wine, he's made it, and this is a gold medal winner, and whatever. So, what I experienced at that point in time, I've now arrived where I'm supposed to be happy, to be joyful, and successful. That's all you need in life. And it was empty. There was nothing in it. I mean, I'd worked so hard to get there because that's where you have everything, and now I've got everything. I'm living this wonderful life. I get the house, I got everything I need, and now it's just, I thought this is happiness. It's not happiness to have everything that you think you need in life and get in life. So that's one lesson I learned. But then again, it was also very difficult because now I'm going to lose my job. What can I do? I can't go and get another winemaking job, So I always saw it this way. I know my abilities, okay? Every one of us knows our abilities. I can run so fast, I can't run faster than that. I can jump so high, I can't jump higher than that, whatever it may be. It's impossible for me, Louis Hofmeyr, to resign my work because of some other faith or whatever it may be, and just drop my work and be nothing and cannot be anything and become whatever on the street or no income, no nothing. Now, of course, I was not married, so that made it a bit easier. I saw it as, I'm not jumping over the house, and now I can't, it's impossible. But God must have enabled me to, in fact, resign my work. And it wasn't very easy. I was sort of mumbling along and, I want to resign. I don't know how I conveyed the message, but it was very difficult. And I left the wine industry, and then I sat at home. Especially reading Ellen White from the Bible, but Ellen White is easier to understand. So I was studying, and there were a few experiences, and then at the point I felt, well, I've studied and read everything I can. I'd like to learn more. I'm not all excited about the Bible, and I'm learning and I'm reading, and this is so wonderful, all the things I've discovered, and wow, I'm enjoying it. And so I knew, okay, I can go to college, Heidelberg College. And I've always thought, one day when I retire, I'd like a beautiful sunset that I'll enjoy very much, and then doing my hobby. But now Bible study was my hobby, so I can go to Heidelberg, they have the most beautiful sunsets there, and I will be studying the Bible there. That will be so nice. I can maybe just mention this. When this transition takes place to become a Sabbath keeper, you still you must now start thinking different. But in any case, this girl phones me and says, listen, or woman, oh, we're having an end of the year function. Will you come with me, please, to the end of the year function? As normally I'm invited for all these functions, whatever. So I said, yes, that'll be very nice, thank you, and so forth. And afterwards I realized, that's Sabbath, it's Sabbath. I can't go on the Sabbath to hear and function. So that was a major challenge, very difficult. What do I tell her now? You know, I'm now disappointed her, or I'm going to, I've already said yes. In any case, I bought a big bunch of red flowers and took it to her and apologized and explained to her, you know, Sabbath day, I don't go out and whatever. And my life totally changed radically, but it was, in a sense, difficult because I willingly cut all my friends off, and I'm not an extrovert, so I don't go and evangelize everybody and whatever. And my mother said, you know, you give your tithes to the church and support the church, but just don't leave your job. You know, you don't have to leave your work. Support the church. Now they don't go to church, but she's encouraged me to support the church, but just don't leave your work. So I think they were a bit disappointed. Their son is now, you know, doing the strange act. So that happened, and then I went to Heidelberg, and I arrived there, and I said, the Seventh-day Adventist College, all year, you know, I want to do the Bible subjects. Please write me in for all the Bible subjects. No, we can't do that. I said, why not? I want to study the Bible, you know. I just want to, just give me the Bible subjects. Write me. No. You have to do theology to do Bible subjects. I said, no, but I don't want to do theology. Me, a pastor, never. Just give me the Bible subjects. No, sorry, you'll have to do theology. Okay, well, I don't care, right? For theology, it doesn't matter as long as I can do the Bible subjects. So I ended up there, and again, as things progressed, they said, you know, we need someone who's fluent in Afrikaans, and we need more pastors, and won't you be a pastor? Now again, you know, the main God's servant speaking to me, and conference presidents and whatever, and I cannot say, I may not say no, and I definitely don't want to be a pastor. So it was difficult. I prayed about it, and I thought, well, you know, at least I can work with the Bible. You know, if you're a pastor, you're busy with the Bible, well, it's not so bad. I can become a pastor if I have to. So I made peace with the fact that I'm going to be a pastor. So I studied at Heidelberg theology, and then now my first major hurdle was while I was working as a winemaker, doing very well, enjoying my work thoroughly. No tie, no nothing. I chose a course in which, as you can hear from my childhood, what type of person I was, that I won't sit in the office all the time. So winemaking is a lovely job. I don't recommend it to anybody, but it is a lovely job. Very nice, good paying, good benefits, and everything Satan will give to you. So I was in his business, I suppose. Yeah. So okay, now I'm doing theology at Heidelberg. But that was a major change, which only God could work in me, to be able to resign my work and to sit on the street basically almost, and don't know what the future now holds for me. And I was, suppose, blessed by going into the theological lines. But while at Heidelberg, probably during my second year, a lecturer arrived there. He's a very good lecturer. He's very stimulating. He's very exciting. And you know, some lecturers just have got a way of teaching that is, and another lecturer might just stand there. But he wasn't the only one. There are others also that were totally, you know, this exciting new lecturer. He had studied. I think he went to Andrews University. Seems to me they weren't giving his degree there. Seems to me there was too much in apostasy, so he went to another place, and he got it from Princeton or somewhere. He came back, and now he's our theological professor, or teacher, not professor, doctor, wherever he was. And he would explain, you know, the fundamental beliefs is like a raft. You know, raft that drifts on the water. It's made up of many logs, all tied together. That's like a raft, if that's a word you use. And he said the fundamental beliefs is like that. And then you take out one log at a time, and you just replace it with something else. You take another log out, and you replace it with something else. So he made known what he's busy doing. And he would teach, you know, the papacy isn't the Antichrist and so forth. And I've already said one lesson that I've learned, who Satan attacks. I spoke about that earlier. And here was another thing that I remember very distinctly. If you place yourself where you're not supposed to be, now I know people feel differently about it, but that's what I felt about it. You can be influenced. Now, I knew what I'd learned from Professor Fight and this other, his friend, Francois Duplessis, Pastor Francois Duplessis. They are very, very good lecturers. They teach you everything you need to know, and in the minutest detail, everything. They teach you one lecture after another lecture. And then they have an evangelistic series. I don't think even I was baptized by then. They asked me to be the master of ceremonies. So I didn't know that much. I've just came in through evangelistic campaign. Now they have another one, and I'm now standing the master of ceremonies, telling the people, okay, you know, so and so is going to speak and whatever, and there's a bathroom and so forth, and welcome. And tomorrow evening the next topic is this and so forth. So what I'm saying is, I went through more than one evangelistic series before I went to Helderberg. So I knew our teachings well, and I studied and read, so I knew that what they had said is truth and is correct. So we had this very good man. I've got nothing against his way of lecturing, but he was lecturing error. And I didn't want to expose myself to this area because I have subsequently seen in my life, and I've learned that if you put yourself in a certain position, you can be influenced to start believing differently. For example, okay, I went away from Helderberg. When I came back later, the fourth year students were saying the Antichrist is not the papacy. Now, I couldn't understand that, how they can say that. Great controversy is very clear upon that. How can they argue that point? I didn't, but this was under this man's influence. So I'm very pleased I wasn't under his influence. In any case, I decided to Helderberg, I'm going to leave Helderberg, and that was a second great test in my life. I'm now not going to qualify as a pastor. What am I going to do now? Because now my mindset is already, well, I'm going to qualify as a pastor. That's going to be my job one day. And now I'm leaving Helderberg. And my mother by now, although they don't really agree with what I'm doing, they have become, seems to me, even, she said, we're so happy for you. You're enjoying yourself and you're having, you're studying and you're doing well and so forth. We're really happy for you. So my mother was already supporting me, and now I was telling her I'm leaving Helderberg. Why are you doing that? No, finish your studies, and don't leave now. And she was encouraging me to stay, and so I think that was a disappointment for them. But that was another test for me. Now I'm just everything's going to collapse here. I went to the conference and I spoke to the president, and all I told him was, I'm leaving the college, if you've got anything you need done, or however you can use me, I'm willing to work. And he said, no, we actually need papers. We cannot use you if you don't have the papers. In any case, I left the college. No, actually, as I was about to finish the end of the second year, which I was going to leave, subjects changed. This man was presenting that now, and that one was giving that. It actually made it possible for me to continue another 2 semesters, where I could only take one subject with him and avoid him by taking other subjects at the other lecture, they swapped material. So I went on for another 2 semesters, and then this pastor that brought me into the truth needed someone who had a car and could be basically self-supporting and could work on a stipend to help him. But I then left the college, and then the conference actually employed me. I had no papers, nothing, but they employed me, and they used me as a pastor. And I was pastoring, but he was a senior pastor, and I was working with him. And again, I could attend these lectures and meetings and so forth. And it was a wonderful experience. I enjoyed it very much. But I would never become a pastor because I can't go to Helderberg. Andrews is too expensive. I couldn't afford that. Newbold pound is also very expensive. And then later, I was a pastor for about a third of a year. That's when I was away from Helderberg working. I discovered that IAS is there in the east. I can go and study with them, and they're a good college. And I thought, well, or university, I can go there. They don't do undergraduate, they only do postgraduate. Now listen to this. They've got different requirements from Helderberg, because Helderberg, I think, is BTH or something, and they do BA theology but in any case, this is our postgraduate studies. So I could go do masters with them, but I hadn't had a degree yet. But because I've already had another degree in agriculture, and I've taken a certain amount of subjects, I only need a few more theology subjects, and they will accept me into the master's program. Now, when I left Heidelberg at that point in time, you have to do Greek as one of your subjects. We're doing Greek, and I left the Greek class at that point, and my fellow students remained behind. So I wanted to go back to Heidelberg now because I needed to do another course in Greek to have sufficient Greek for IAS, and I needed Hebrew 2. Heidelberg doesn't present Hebrew 2, they only give Hebrew 1, only up to that level. But I had to do still one course in Greek. So I had one course in Greek and a few theology subjects that I could do within one semester and I'll finish. A great miracle happened. Because now I was so concerned. You know, my students, fellow students in the class, they've progressed with Greek. The man who gave us Greek before, Todd Sanders, an American, excellent teacher, had left the college. And obviously, you know, they got a new teacher, and he taught them now different Greek to what we had, because you can teach it in different ways. You can get them to learn more. And now I fall in the following year, and they've had a whole semester of more Greek. And I would be so low, I'll fail all the Greek that we're going to do now. And I wonder if you can remember the Greek I had. So that was a big problem for me. I arrived at Heidelberg, and I discovered that Todd Sanders, yes, he had left, but they had no replacement for him. So they also had done no Greek. So that was a miracle. So, and then he came back, so he was a teacher again. So he picked up where he left off, and I could comfortably, with the rest, I'm on the same par with him, I could do the Greek. Now the other problem was I'm completing, but I don't have Hebrew 2. So another miracle God worked, but okay, that happened. My friend came to me and said, listen, don't you want to do Hebrew 2? I said, yes, I need to do it. Yes, I want to do it, definitely. Well, they try to get enough students, and no, we're only 5. College says no, Todd can't teach a class of 5 students. They refused. You may not do that. Todd was a bit of a rebel, and he decided he's going to teach Hebrew 2. Oh. Big blessing again, a miracle. They never teach Hebrew 2. Then they taught that, when only that semester that I needed, he taught Hebrew 2. I got Hebrew 2 and I could go to IELTS. So there's a double miracle in that. So that was my great test again, willing to leave Heidelberg, to be faithful to God, I believe. So that was another great miracle God did for me. And there was a third one. So I went to IAS, I studied, I finished, and I came back. And my other fellow students graduated with a normal BA degree. Now I graduated with a Master of Pastoral Theology degree. And I was taken up in the ministry soon after that. And a very strange thing happened. I was working on a stipend again for the conference. I actually worked full-time, but I'm now supposed to be part-time. And a very strange thing happened to me. I started feeling that I should marry. And this was the strangest fear. I've never thought of it. No concept of marriage. You know, that I thought, never am I going to marry. And I started ticking the calendar, you know, I feel today, I want to marry. Who am I going to marry? I don't even know who I'm going to marry. Lord, why? What's going on here? But I'm now in the ministry, part-time. So I in any case figure out, well, okay, maybe I should ask this girl to marry. I've learned to know her. I know her quite a few years already. She's an Adventist. And and I knew her very well. We were friends then, so it wasn't, you know, it wasn't as when we were going sort of woo now. But in any case, it wasn't sort of, I've got a passion for this woman, you know. I must marry someone. So I went to her, and I don't know the exact words, but I said something like, maybe you should pray about, the future and marriage, how the Lord wants to meet. But she didn't figure at all what I'm saying. So I'm praying, yeah, Lord, is this what you want, or is this not what you want? She doesn't know that this is what she's supposed to be praying for. I'm so weak in presenting what I'm trying to say. And went back again after a skip, I don't know what time period, maybe a week or two. And she's a bit short now. And so I chose a very good time. She was busy washing dishes. I'm behind her. And I proposed to her.
This was a bust.
She's looking away. I'm not seeing her. She's washing dishes. Yes, and I always told her, dear, I think the one thing you love really doing in life is washing dishes. I mean, can you remember I proposed to you? You always think of that wonderful time I proposed to you. And I also had the opinion that, I'm not going to try and match someone else. And the man across the street was sort of eyeing her, and he brought red flowers and everything. Yeah, wonderful, beautiful, I'm not competing against anybody. If she wants to marry someone else, let her marry someone else. And I didn't court her either. She has got this against me, even today. And you never even courted me. Didn't bring flowers, didn't do anything, just proposed. I missed out on all of that. And the other thing is, after now proposing, and she said, this mustn't take long. That's all prayer requests I got. We're not going to wait a long time. We must do it quite soon. The winter is coming. I don't want to be alone in winter. And if you've been shocked, or you just feel lame and tired and exhausted, and now I'm in that state. So any arrangement is made, she must make, I'm too shocked, weak, tired, and I don't even know how to say these words because I've never even thought of it. But in any case, so by the way, she was a lady that invited me to the lectures.
I was wondering.
Yeah, and I was. When I was taken up in the ministry part-time, initially, just after leaving Helderberg, I was far away from her, and she was faithful to the church. And I was in IS another away a year again. She was faithful to the church. I could see she's not there because of me, or because we were very good friends, and we did go to church together and whatever else. So I knew, okay, she's not there just because of me or anything else. She's actually dedicated to God. Yeah. So now we get married, and at the same time I actually got a call, permanent call. So I was then serving the church permanently. Many weird things really. I always thought, if I ever do get married, I must have no children. And if I do, I must have many.
It's a matter of many.
Yes, because if you have no children, that's the best. You don't have problems. And you're not worried about your children. And this is not this whole family issue. But now I was relying on the Lord that getting married, God will, there won't be eruptions in marriage. We'll have a happy home life, and we won't want to separate and everything. Because I believe, even in my very religious life, that one should never divorce. We're a conservative country. I come from a very conservative country. You don't divorce, and you don't do certain things, and you live a good life and the proper life and so forth. In any case, and that's why I didn't want to get involved in a marriage that would fix me in something I didn't want to be, but I trust in the Lord, and I'm not married. And So she also knew you must all have many children or no children. So I think we more or less settled on no children. And then she fell pregnant. And she wasn't feeling well. I don't know what's wrong. And I thought, no, I'm not feeling very well. And maybe I should go to the doctor. And phoning, friends and so forth. They're also keen in the health message. What do? No, take a hot bath and do that. And she was taking this hot bath and everything we did that could possibly, if you want to get rid of your baby, take massive hot baths and everything. My daughter clung on tenaciously. She didn't abort. But we didn't know she's pregnant. She went to the doctor, and the doctor said, maybe you should have a pregnancy test. No, doctor, it's impossible. That's not, I can't be pregnant and so forth. And in any case, the doctor told her she's pregnant. And then nobody's ever told me in my life, please come sit on the bed. Please sit down. I'm going to tell you something. She now has to tell me she's pregnant. So our patient is sat down. So I'm probably going to erupt, or I'm going to faint, or something. But in any case, I knew, okay, she's pregnant. It's, be kind, be good, treat her, help her. It doesn't help you get upset now. And yes, so we had a daughter, a lovely daughter. And then 2 years later, also a very lovely son. And she didn't want to have many babies. This pregnancy thing is not for her. And so we have got the 2 lovely children, and then progressing in the ministry, etc. But there was a point when this Trinity story came up. I only knew one thing, that's Trinity. Okay. When I came into the church, they always ask you, what is your favorite text? You're going to testify before the people now, we're going to share testimony. And often also just Sabbath closing or whatever, what is your favorite text? We ended up arguing, myself and my future wife, because she had the same text that I had. Every time she has to, but mine is the same as hers, or hers is the same as mine. We didn't know which way around it was. But in any case, this text was particularly precious to me, coming new into the faith, for the first time actually relying to have faith in God. That's where I learned to have faith, by resigning your work. That to me was understanding the word of faith. And this was a text which was very precious to my bruised heart, and I'm now lost this position as winemaker and being nothing. Being confident of this very thing, this is Philippians 1 verse 6, that ye which began a good work in you will perform it until the day of Jesus Christ. So this was my really very, very earnest prayer. Because I was a type of person who had a wide, broad interest. I'd be very interested in the stars. As a winemaker, I'd get home and I'd get books and I'd study the stars and the movement and everything, and I'd learn, I could say just before I'm an expert, then I'm not tired of it. 3 months or whatever, depth study, going to the library, researching stars, knowing everything, galaxies, and now I'm tired of it. Then I leave it. Then I'm interested in photography. Wow, photography, yes. And then I'm now doing photography, all about photography, taking amazing pictures. And then after 3-4 months, I'm tired of that. Then psychology. Oh, all the books about psychology, understanding. And then, a few months later, then handwriting analysis. How do you analyze people's handwriting and learn about the character and so forth. So very interesting. But this is typically me. Nothing wrong with it, but that's what I enjoyed very much. I go into very great depth for a time, then I'm tired of it. But now I've discovered this, the Bible and so forth, and it was sort of a similar experience. I'm like keenly interested in the Bible, but I wasn't really concerned that this is going to happen. I'm going to grow tired of the Bible. I just knew I'll never grow tired of this. There's prophecies, a health message, so much in the Bible. So I just knew I just was convinced I'm not growing. But what I was afraid of is sometime growing just cold, just sort of losing that enthusiasm you have in the beginning for evangelism, for reaching people, for doing the work of the Lord. So I earnestly prayed that God will perform the work until the day of Jesus, a good work that He started in me, because I recognize He did this work in me. and that He will continue this work until later. So that was my very, very earnest prayer, and that's why it was my favorite scripture. And then someone phoned me up, a member, and he said, you know, some members you can just, they ask you as pastor something and you just tell them this or that and they're happy. Or normally just tell them don't believe this or believe that. I wasn't really a pastor like that. I didn't believe in doing that, but most pastors do it, you know. Pastor, is that right? You know what that one is saying? I say, no, it's not right. Okay, thank you, Pastor. They put the phone down. But I didn't like doing that. I wanted to ground my members into truth, so I'll normally give them scriptures, give them, you know, this is why you can't believe it, this is why you're not going to do. And in any case, this particular, but some members are a bit more tenacious. They study for themselves rather than just accepting the pastor's word. And I knew this one is not one to accept the pastor's word. And it's not my habit of also, you know, just getting people to believe what I tell them to believe. I rather teach them what they. I was amazed that most just tell them this and that, and members are happy with that. In any case, so they told me, Pastor, could you please watch this video? And that's all he said. The truth about God, something like that, the truth about God. I saw it's a DVD about Nada Mansour. Now, I only had a concept of Trinity. I had no other concept about God. And it didn't quite make sense. We all know that. And so I looked at this and I couldn't quite figure out, you know, what is this about? Why Father, Son? And then I had a look. I can remember Gary Holquist, Dr. Holquist, speaking to the GC president. And he was speaking, you know, Father and the Son. And I thought, we know the Father and the Son. You know, why is this such a big issue? You know, what is this about? So I had to watch more, learn more, and then especially when I discovered what the pioneers said, you know, we need some backing for this, and somehow I can't find it in Adventist material, but the other churches believe in Trinity. So I can look there, and they're going to tell us, you know, Trinity is truth, and that's where it is. And the more I delve, the more I discover it's not there. In any case, then I started sharing with some of my fellow pastors, you know what the pioneers used to say, and believe you know what they said, and then I started teaching my churches the pioneers' point of view, but I would clearly say 1980 we voted to change. We now are Trinitarian. We believe the Trinity, but we used to not believe in Trinity during the White's time right up to 1980 when we voted to change our belief at Dallas GC session to become Trinitarians. So that's what I taught them. And when they ask me, Pastor, what must we believe? I just humbly say, well, study for yourself. I don't tell them believe Trinity. I don't tell them believe Father and Son, but I knew, you know, by then I understood the Father, Son must be the truth. And then there was eruptions with the conference president, who they eventually removed from his position. But some say, I'm not saying that's the situation, but he tried to use me as decoy because he was my accuser, even though he was under suspicion and accused of things he was doing. So he accused me, so there are two accusers, two people being accused on conference level. I was one. And yes, maybe I shouldn't expound on that. Basically, legally, they must, within 3 months, if it's a very difficult case, expounding, they may take 3 months to resolve an issue. If you've got an issue with your worker, more than 3 months is totally unfair. You're not allowed to do that because there's too much stress, too much on the family, too much on the person. They just stretched it out, did nothing for the first 2 months, I think, before they spoke to me about it again. I'm now suspended. And then they waited until middle winter and called me to the conference. I'm far from the conference. My children are busy with exam. It's icy, bitterly cold. And I must go to the conference now early in the morning while it's yet dark. And my children are in bed and I'm only coming back that night again. And the children are busy with exam. So it was the worst time they could possibly pick to call me to the office. And my wife is torn in two. She wants to be there for the children. They're busy with exams and to help them when they come back to prepare for the next day and so forth. And to be with me. She went with me and they did it again during the worst possible time. But in any case, and there was only that twice, and then they had an internal hearing. and they struggled for 2 days to find fault so that they have reason to dismiss me. There was no reason, there was no ground for dismissal. After 2 days of interrogation and carrying on, nothing worked out for them. You must have internal hearing. You must have an unbiased person who hasn't been involved in this case. So they chose a SDA lawyer to be the unbiased person, and he told them, sort of towards the end of or say the middle of the second day, listen, you've got no case against him. Sorry, there's no case. You're accusing him on basis of the churches you say have accused him. And his churches said this and this, and you've got no proof. Yeah, the emails, everything is there, and they got no proof. I told him, have you ever been to my church? I haven't been. Questions like that are asked. And now, how can you say that? How can you do this? Where do you get this? It's just false accusations. And then he quickly changed to, yes, but your fellow pastors are accusing you. And he tried to prove something that my fellow pastors, and then it was, okay, if you say fellow pastors are accusing me, you must have written proof, evidence, or you must call in the pastors to come and testify that they're accusing you of something. There was no proof at all. So after 2 days, dismissed. They will give me a report back within 2 days. It took I think about 4 days, and the report said guilty on all charges. What is this? And I read the report, and it made no sense to me. And I thought, I'm on a total different planet. I don't know how the law works. How can I'd be accused? And I thought, well, I'll just resign. I'm just going to do this. But well, most people know about it, so I can mention it. Dr. Staples, he's world renowned for eye specialists, he's an ophthalmologist. People from across the world come to him, and he's a brilliant ophthalmologist for the work he does and so forth. He works for the church, he's a doctor for the church. And his wife used to be a lawyer, 8 years previous to that. And I may take a representative to sit in with me, and she was supporting me all the way, and she went with me. And in any case, they didn't want her. They said, you must take a fellow pastor. Now, which fellow pastor is going to speak up for you? You'll just end up where I'm ending up. So, but I didn't have to have a representative, but I wanted a fellow pastor to at least hear what these people are saying and what they're doing. So during the internal hearing, he was here with me. And he told them, but there's no evidence. He was on conference level, working there. He knows you have to have something in black and white. You can't accuse somebody without black and white, or you must make sure you get it. But then I went to this Dr. Staples' wife, because she was a lawyer before, and I asked her, listen, this is the result of it. Please explain to me. Just tell me, why am I guilty? And she read it and she said, no, it makes no sense. You cannot be guilty. And her niece or someone is a lawyer in labor relationships. So they advised me go to court because they've tainted your name, and even the conference worker is the human resource manager told me you must clear your name. Clear your name. So I thought, well, yes, I suppose I should clear my name because now it's one-sided. Everybody is told in the church, out the church, I'm guilty of transgressing. They had to dismiss me. So I went to court, labor relations court, and the problem in South Africa is the system isn't always very just. People are often afraid, especially if it's a black judge is showing you're a white person, that there's a strong prejudice, and government officials not always being very faithful in their duties. And my president, they've worked out all the whites in the conference level, so they're only blacks, so my bosses are all black in the conference in the church. There's supposed to be one of each racial group, of the three racial, at least, we're four, we're Indians, whites, and blacks and colored. And there must be at least 4 racial groups, they had 2 only. Whites were out. I was a senior white pastor, so I don't know if they were afraid, I can be voted in. I didn't want to be a conference worker in any case. I wanted to be in the rural area. That might be another reason, because I know they were, I won't go into that, what they were doing on union level and planning this one out, getting that one out, arranging things, gathering white canvassing and so forth. But in any case, so it was basically my black bosses, and I'm the white pastor who they don't want anymore. And now you most likely get a black judge, and the first one was a lady. They didn't arrive, so the case had to fall in my favor. She unlawfully extended the case to a later date and delayed the case. Again, my whole thing was stretched out and delayed. During that time, the conference also asked me that I please go for a psychological test to see if I'm okay up here or whatever. Because of maybe the stress and everything I'm under and so forth. And they want the report. That didn't happen. But okay, so then the next case was going to happen, and again it was a black person who was going to be the judge. And I thought on conference level, the conference would say, great, you know, you've done a good study, here's all the proof, everything is okay, you know, you can go on pastoring. But I was totally wrong. They found me guilty. And now I thought, this is a government judging. The lawyer says, listen, there are two grounds you can be, they can be at fault. The one is they never worked according to the rule book. They're supposed to work according to specific rules, how you go about doing things and so forth. They just did everything wrong. The councils did everything wrong with a lawyer they've got. They actually have a few lawyers. So they're guilty there, and the theological matters, you can take care of that, you know it. I said, no problem, they're wrong on that area, I've got all the evidence. So they tried to settle before court, but they insisted I'm still guilty. We'll settle with you, we will give you money, or we'll reinstate you on certain conditions and so forth. And I said, no, I'm not guilty. We're going to court. If you say I'm guilty, then we have to sort it out in the court. Or at least get a judge opinion. But I was a bit afraid because of this judge. And you may only be two people there. I must represent myself, so I'm on my own. And on the opposite side of the table, they've got the lawyer from the union, the advocate from the union, to represent them and their case. So how do you fight against the advocate? And then having this judge, but God was very good. He would try and settle the case, send me out and then send the advocate out and try and settle it. He asked the advocate, how far are you from settling? No, as far as can be. And then he spoke, and then the judge told me, but listen, if your case doesn't go too well, you're not going to get the maximum amount they're going to pay you. But otherwise, you're going to get the maximum amount they can. The court is allowed to penalize them. And lo and behold, after 3 hours and trying to get this, that, and so forth, I'm not going to give you all the detail. They said, we'll give you X amount. And the X amount was the maximum penalty the court could lay upon them to settle the case. So they voluntarily paid that amount, and they also signed for it. They said, please let us pay it off in 2 installments and give us a bit of time. So I gave them a few months to pay that. So they signed it, and they did eventually pay that as well to me. So the court has settled the matter. I'm not guilty, basically. So that was another big test. The first one was leaving my work, the second one was leaving Heidelberg, and now the third one was losing my job. They said, listen, we will blink at this. You would say, just apologize. You say, and then we will say we made a mistake. Everything is okay. You can go on as pastor. As long as you say the Trinity is okay, everything is okay. No, this is not right. Don't hold to your position, pastor. Just everything will be okay. No, we must stick to the truth, and I'm faithful to the truth, I believe.
Amen.
So that was another great. But this time I wasn't as worried at all about what I knew. God was going to do something wonderful. I just knew He's going to do a wonderful thing, because every time, look at the time when I left my job, He blessed me, and then when I went back, remember I left Heidelberg, I had to go back, and then He miraculously, Greek and Hebrew, everything fell in place. it just doesn't happen. So I knew God's going to, I'm blessed by stepping out in faith. So I'm very happy for that. And that was my walk. And I've also got a passion for the health work. I've always had a passion for that. And I just felt that what was really difficult was this emotion. Your church accusing you, and my children were born in the church, and I'm telling them the church is everything. My child will never leave this church. And this is God's end-time church, and this is a church that's got the truth, and they know I devote myself fully to the church, and let's sacrifice, let's give more to the church and do more for the church, and mother's in the church, and dad's working in the church, and it's just everything church. That's how they grew up, and now suddenly the church is persecuting me, or doing this to me. And their perspective, what now? They don't understand this, and my name in the community, and whatever else. So that was daunting, especially for my wife. A woman is more emotionally attached to people, so that was rather very, very difficult. But as I testified after my baptism, and I'm not going to do all of that over, but she remained faithful to me all the time. We could easily have separated. That's normally what happens when the wedding is under great stress because of whatever you separate. There's a divorce and it just breaks up. And now what happens to me as a provider? I'm not providing anymore. I'm losing my job. I'm losing my status and whatever else. The conference tried to have me disfellowship. My church wouldn't disfellowship me. After a year, they managed to do that. And they also decided to disfellowship my wife. She has always not believed in the Trinity. She's never believed it. At her baptism, so her status has never changed. And yet, and I've asked the church repeatedly, what has she done against you? What has she done wrong? Why are you disfellowshipping her? Nobody else saw fit to disfellowship her. But they disfellowshipped her, they disfellowshipped me. So that is the situation. I lost my job at end of October 2015. They gave me 4 days notice via email. They never told me, they just sent an email. And very sudden, without notice. And there was a whole story, very interesting. I arrived that Sabbath at church. I went again to church. They had a retired pastor in my place to substitute me for the time being until they find another pastor. And 31st of October, Sabbath, the last day of the month, and he announced from the pulpit they're going to have a business meeting to disfellowship me, which is totally illegal. You're not allowed to do that as a pastor. And I can in fact take him to court if I wanted to, because he's incriminating me and so forth, and the conference has had such a case before. And he also said, oh, by the way, he's not a pastor, he's now Brother Louis. You must address him, Brother Louis. He's not a pastor anymore. Now, of course, I was still a pastor. I had my credentials and everything. And that particular day, I was still in employment of the church. So some of the members started, hello, Brother Louis. Greeting people and walking out there. And I didn't really do much, but the conference just knew they're in deep trouble. And they came out to personally apologize to me. The conference president came out to apologize to me. I'm sorry, you should never have done that, and it's wrong, and we apologize. So there were other events that I also went through. And so then I was pastor again, and then after a year, I was taken out of position, and a year later they took my credentials away. End of 2015, when was that? 2015. They took my credentials close to the end of around about October 2016, last year, October. They rescinded all my pastoral credentials. I'm no longer a pastor. And just after that, and I'm pleased that it happened that way, because I didn't want the church to vote me out. So then the conference is more or less, you're not a member anymore. Now we can just take your credentials. So they first took my credentials, and then almost a week or two later, the church, it happened that they voted me out of membership. I didn't go to the business meeting to defend myself or anything. And then I actually gave them a dismissal letter on my way to Tabernacles meeting last week. I was asked to be camp meeting speaker, and I told them, I'm not a feast believer, why are you asking me to be your camp meeting speaker? No, we trust you, we really have faith in you, we know you're dedicated to your work, you're faithful as a pastor. We don't mind, you can be our camp meeting speaker, we'd love you to be a camp meeting speaker. So I was a camp meeting speaker at Tabernacles last year at a non-believer, and I met all these wonderful people and learned more about peacekeeping and so forth. And then what happened is that this man that arranged everything high was invited by Adrian to come here, to be present here, and things couldn't work out for him, he couldn't go and so forth, and he suggested that I come in his place, which Adrian accepted. So I came in Ian's place, so I'm representing Ian. I've come in his place to be here, and he said, yes, please listen to what they say, and hear what they say, and come and report back and tell us and teach us and guide us and so forth. Lovely people there. We were at that camp meeting 50 believers, or not believers necessarily, but 50 people. Some believe in Father, Son, some believe in the Son, some believe this. They have no real leader leading art, as we are fortunate enough to have in Adrian. So there are many varied ideas, but we tolerate each other, and that was really healing to me. To go to a place where people were tolerating each other, they weren't fighting each other, and trying to, what you experience in the churches then. And many related their experiences in the churches, and they wanted communion, so I gave them communion. They asked me to baptize, so I baptized as a member of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. I wasn't then officially out yet, so I was baptizing people. It was a wonderful experience to be part of that healing process. And then maybe, because I was being taught this, what is your favorite text now? So it's my favorite text. By the way, I was so excited when I discovered this Father and Son, because the first time the Bible makes sense. I could understand things I could never understand that I was teaching. I was teaching things that I knew don't make sense. And I never knew this Father, Son, and when it took it time to penetrate, because it is not there, there's no such concept, there's only Trinity concept. But I knew what I was teaching wasn't truth. Even the text I was giving, I know that is not Trinity, but fortunately the members just said, yes, Pastor, yes. Fortunately they didn't start arguing with me. I wasn't allowed to defend it, because you can't. My favorite text now, John chapter 17 verse 3, this is eternal life, that they might know thee, the only true God, and Jesus Christ is our Savior. It's so beautiful. I started just reading the Bible, speed reading, because it was so nice. And while I was on suspension, I read in Great Controversy. Why did I read the Great Controversy? I physically read it. I didn't go CD-ROM searching or anything. I read both Great Controversies, the original one and the later one, to find out about church. I'm being dismissed now, or there's a risk I'm going to be dismissed. What now? I'm not going to be in the boat, and this church is going through, and this church is going to heaven, and all its members are going to heaven, and just stay in the church, as long as you're not out, you're safe. Now, what's going to happen to me? I wasn't so afraid about that scenario. I sorted that out more or less, but I wanted to know what Great Controversy said. So I read through, and I was marking everywhere there's a reference to church, and I found the Church of God, the Church of Jesus, the remnants, and so forth. And nowhere I found the Seventh-day Adventist Church. And then you read it from a different perspective as well. Before I read it, and it said, those pastors who were leading people in error, they would be attacked 10 times worse than the members. They will suffer more, and the members will attack them. I always thought, I'm a Seventh-day Adventist pastor. I'm okay. They're going to attack all these other false pastors. And then I discovered, hey, wait a minute. The Seventh-day Adventist pastors are going to be part of this. If you don't teach truth, you're going to suffer severely. yeah, so I'm very blessed by you, by your loving kindness, helping us to heal. And that's actually one reason why I didn't want to speak here. You're a bit bruised by. I'm soft, not like Walter. You know, Walter is. When the church accused me in the beginning, I immediately contacted Walter and I sent him my documents, Father, Son, and everything. And he phoned me back. We had a nice chat. He said, you know, all levels of the church up to GC have already accused me, so don't panic too much. In any case, we're good friends. He's a good and faithful man, dedicated to God and his ministry. And they are precious to us. I really value his ministry, and I know many of you also have that contact.
Amen.
And value his ministry. So, and I know the attacks he's had, and how he stands faithful. There's one thing that I've actually forgotten, two things. One thing is this message that I'm supposed to convey to you from South Africa, from someone who I went to speak to about the Trinity. He doesn't mention anything, really, but I went to talk to him about the Trinity, and he thought, what is that now about? This Father and Son that he's now speaking about. But he was faithful, he went to investigate it, and he discovered the truth of that, Cedric. Let's see, where is he on my cell phone? There he is. And he asked me to please convey this to you. So I'm going to let him speak for himself. Listen carefully. Oh my, that's me speaking, sorry. These must be earlier on. There it is.
I'm Cedric from Advent Government Hope Movement. We had a positive feedback from Pastor Louis Hofmeyr about you and the work you are doing. We want to thank you all for your loving support, your resources, your prayers, and your willingness to accommodate Pastor Louis Hofmeyr. We are also looking forward to Pastor Adrian Evans' visit at the Feast of Tabernacles later this year in South Africa. We wish you God's richest blessing through his beloved Son for your camp meeting from your brothers and sisters in South Africa.
Amen.
And so many prayers are going up for us, and Hein and Diane also asked me to convey his blessings to all of you and his love and so forth. And thank you very much for having me. Yes, thank you for knowing you and for being part of this camp meeting.
Amen. Sure. It's all right, I can speak. I'm glad you had the opportunity to hear Pastor Louis' story. Sadly, that story is a rare story amongst Adventist pastors. But it's a privilege to be in the presence of a man that is not afraid to lose his career for the truth. Then you know it really means something to you. And if you're willing to sacrifice for what you believe in. And so it was just, I suppose, a historical moment as that message came from Cedric, brethren in different parts of the world that are joining together as this message grows, the light grows, and I'm looking forward tremendously to visiting in South Africa and travel with you to meet all of the brethren there. We weren't quite sure what to expect. I mean, for some of us, the typical South African is quite robust and direct, but you are very gentle and humble, and it's a blessing. So they sent a good representative, which is good. So we want to pray for our brethren in South Africa, and we want to convey our thanks to your wife, because it's a traumatic experience to go through that kind of a transition and to be treated in that way. And we're just very blessed to have you here. And we pray for the next Adventist minister who will be able to come here and talk to us, accepting the Father and the Son. So let us pray together.
My favourite.
Yeah.
Could we include Louis' children in our prayer?
Yes.
Because I'm sure they went through a lot. They're still probably
Yes,
still
and your children's name again are?
Kayleen, Philip.
And Philip. Okay. Father in heaven, we thank you for the testimony of Pastor Louis. We just thank you for the courage you've given him and his wife to stand for the truth. And it's such a joy to hear him share of his love for you and your son. And how the scriptures come alive. This has been the experience for many of us here. We've been set free from the creeds of men to worship the only true God and the Lord Jesus Christ. And we know that this message is going to go around the world as lights are appearing in different places. But we know it comes at a cost. And I think of Kayleen and Philip. I pray you would be especially with them as they are dealing with this transition for their father, and that you would watch over them and bless them especially. We send our prayers and our greetings to our brethren in South Africa, and we look forward to standing together on the sea of glass. We thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.